It's coffee time with Peter Gomez. We're still here. Sola, Mahoney and Alagie Barrow are still to come. Now, New Year is the perfect time to express joy with siblings, friends, partners, loved ones, and in the case of a ruler, subjects. Adding a touch of humor to New Year's messages can brighten everyone's spirits. Whether it's a bit sarcastic or downright hilarious, these New Year wishes aim to tickle funny bones and spread smiles. And Alagie Barrow, yes, Coffee Time's Alagie Barrow, I'm even making him a president this morning, after watching his bandam last week try very hard to convince, resulting in a major trip over numbers, went and did this for his Coffee Time subjects. President Alagie Barrow, it's over to you.
My fellow people trapped in this colonial space, as we usher in 2025, those of us who are senior government officials in the executive, judiciary, and legislature can all rejoice with gratitude for the successes registered in 2024. It was Allah who put us in these privileged positions, and we thank Him for everything. For those of us in government, since the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, our economic, social, and general welfare fared much better during these 12 months than before. Remarkably, this is in spite of the ongoing global economic crisis and the battle against price hikes and shortages of essential commodities. There is an economic crisis everywhere in the world, except in the Gambia. Our economy and those of us in government remain resilient. More importantly, these global hardships are only felt by the poorest among us. But Alhamdulillah, my ministers and everyone close to power is enjoying today. Ask anyone who is enjoying today, and they will tell you that our policies and programs are certainly paying dividends. And when I look into the future, there are huge prospects ahead for us. By my reckoning, our country, the Gambia, will be the best in Africa, according to me, and everyone will be happy, despite what opposition organizations like Afrobarometer will tell you. Regardless of the few horrible crimes recorded during the year, the Gambia remains peaceful for those of us in government, especially in comparison to many other countries. I mean, no one in this country hires a truck to kill people like they do in America. Our country is very stable compared to America. And this stability has contributed to the state of the economy, which is growing steadily as confirmed by International Monetary Fund assessment reports that we like so much. Again, forget about your so-called difficulties and focus on positive reports from imperialist organizations. Revenue collection is improving satisfactorily, thus facilitating the implementation of major development projects, some of which are fully funded by my government. To that end, we will continue to tax you heavily so that those of us in senior government positions can continue to live a good life and fly abroad for medical treatments. The hospitals and bad schools are for you, the ordinary people. The tourist season in the country is booming again. According to who? According to me. From October to December 2024, 233,411 tourists have been recorded, and it is projected that 263,764 tourists will visit the country during the 2024-2025 tourist season. I got these numbers from my government. And soon enough, we will record 1 million tourists. That is why you must continue to vote for us so that we can stay in power longer and longer. Progress made in infrastructure development is formidable. Our road network is developing at a rapid pace, and it is redefining travel, business, and social life in communities across all regions of this country. Now, anybody bunker can easily travel to their fatherland in Kiang, and our roads are as smooth as butter. Our institutional reforms, especially our security sector reforms, are progressing very well, with various commissions in full operation. Gambia is safer today than it will be next year, and that is a mark of our excellent leadership and foresight. The Gambia's international ratings continue to rise by the year. Our profile has changed remarkably. Our credibility has grown worldwide. There is a reason why so many people are coming to live in our country these days. As evidence of this, currently, the Gambia holds key positions at both the African Union and United Nations. What we do with these positions does not matter. Just remember that we hold these positions. And don't worry about what we accomplish in these positions, because what matters is that we are there. In addition, according to the 2024 Global Expression Report of Article 19, the Gambia is ranked third as Africa's leading defenders of freedom of expression. It is true that we don't like what some of you say about us, and we are suing some of you for saying things we don't like. It is also true that we have abused a few citizens like Alagie Sisao for saying things we don't like, but these are outliers. We remain committed to freedom of speech. Finally, I urge you, my fellow citizens, not to listen to critics. They are all jealous of us because we didn't give them jobs. Importantly, some of them know how things function in government, even if nothing is functioning as it should. So let our critics talk. We will continue to enjoy in government while claiming to be working for you. I thank you all for listening and watching, and hopefully I got you laughing too.
Absolutely, you got me laughing. Well, one thing you did very well, Alagie, is to recognize your thousands from your hundreds. Yeah, you read out the numbers very well. That was Alagie Barrow. He'll be back same time next week. And now, the icing on the cake. It's time for the Sola Mahoney podcast. And in the Sola Mahoney podcast of the year, Sola Mahoney looks back over the festivities of this past Christmas season and shares with us a few lessons that might be useful for us to think about as we go forward into the new year, 2025. Over to you, Sola Mahoney.
Well, it seems that we have made it to the beginning of yet another year, something we should never take for granted. So Happy New Year to all the Coffee Time listeners. And I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. On my last podcast, when we were in the run-up to Christmas, I remarked that in Gambia, the Christmas season often seems to sneak up on us. One week, the social calendar is relatively calm and quiet, and the next week, the celebrations and the parties are in full flow, in full swing, with little time to catch your breath or even to catch up on sleep before it's time to head off to the next social engagement. And it turns out that in similar fashion, our Christmas season with its frenetic festivities also tends to vanish suddenly, fading into the mists of time before you know it. Now, in the Christian calendar, yesterday, the 6th of January, is known as the 12th day of Christmas. It marks the end of one season, known as the Christmas season, and the beginning of another, known as the season of Epiphany. Yet another one of life's many seasonal transitions. And in our own home, the date had added significance yesterday because it marked an even more important transition. Yesterday, my mother turned 96 in good physical and mental health. Surely a milestone well worth celebrating for anyone interested in healthy aging. Masha'Allah, as they say. And as it happened this year, her birthday came hard on the heels of celebrations organized by past students from her years as a teacher at Gambia High School. Over the past few years, a wonderful and worthwhile tradition of 50th anniversary class reunions has taken root in the Gambia, where former high school students come together some 50 years after they had graduated to honor and to celebrate their past teachers. And so, along with a number of her colleagues from the early 1970s, my mother had been among the honorees. And so for her, yesterday's birthday celebrations were an added bonus, so to speak, what in American parlance they might call a double whammy. Now, looking back over the activities of the festive season just ended, those 50th anniversary class reunions turned out to be much more than mere social celebrations, because to my mind they were full of meaningful life lessons. As former students and teachers reconnected with each other and shared reminiscences about the good old days at Gambia High School, of course not all of which were good, by the way, and as individuals narrated aspects of their own life story and the personal journey they had traveled since graduation, and as we reflected on the classmates who were absent, particularly those who could not make it because of ill health or because they had passed on, it seemed that all of us who were in attendance would have learned a little something new about life. A number of the friendships formed during those high school years were still as strong as ever. Some past students who had had a particularly bad disciplinary record in high school had gone on to have successful careers as responsible professionals. Teachers who at the time had been seen as wicked, the kind of teacher who would be described as ki teacher bubonla, were now acknowledged and thanked for having instilled in those same students the discipline that had allowed them to be successful in life. And the teachers who in school days had been seen as all-knowing and all-powerful acknowledged that their own students had actually taught them many valuable lessons. Indeed, some of the former teacher-student relationships had even evolved and transformed over time into genuine, mature friendships. 50 years later, 50 years after the fact, it seemed that with the advantage of the perspective that only hindsight can offer, each student, each teacher was able to look back and acknowledge that the years spent in high school and the experiences they had shared together had had a hugely important impact on their life and their life journey. And there were also many lessons to be learned about many different aspects of aging. We were reminded about the importance of celebrating the gift of life. After all, many of the past students had passed on. Some due to health conditions that they were born with, or due to unfortunate circumstances that they were not responsible for. Others were not in attendance due to ill health. Fittingly, those who were present at the reunions, students and teachers alike, paused to remember those who could not be present and to be thankful for the gift of life and good health that allowed them to grace the occasion. We were reminded about the power of long-lasting friendships, particularly those friendships formed at an early age, friendships that grow and mature as we grow and mature, and sustained friendships that can sustain us as we age. We learned that while older persons are typically seen as being in a position to teach the youth, they often have a lot to learn from the youth, from younger persons, as long as that intergenerational divide can be crossed. We learned about the possibility and the value of intergenerational relationships, like those that evolved over time between former teachers and their former students. And we were reminded that despite age differences between young and old, such relationships can genuinely grow into mutual friendships that enrich both sides. And the fact is that over time, and as people age, shared experiences and values matter so much more than numerical age differences. So as we transition out of the festive Christmas season, and as the Christmas decorations gradually come down, while Christmas season may have ended, these recent gatherings and celebrations remind us all, young and old, that life is to be cherished, not only in milestones like birthdays or class reunions, but in everyday connections that enrich our journey. The 50th anniversary class reunions did more than just honor the past. They reminded us of the value of enduring relationships and shared experiences, showing us that even as years pass, bonds that we have forged, whether in the classroom or on the playground or in the workplace, can evolve into lifelong sources of invaluable emotional support. And so as we go forward into the year 2025, let's remember to treasure the connections we have and to build new bridges across generations and indeed across any other artificial social divide whenever we can. After all, it is those very connections grounded in years past but still ever present that will enrich us, enrich our lives, and ultimately sustain us as we age. And with that in mind, all the best to you for the year 2025 ahead.
Well, well, well. Belated greetings on your birthday, Dr. Florence Mahoney. Interesting. Earlier, I had a Dr. Habibatu Drame on the program, a female PhD. Well, we take them for granted now, don't we? But she will have read that you paved the path for girls' education in this country up to doctoral degree. And for that, a whole nation is forever indebted to you. Live long, ma, and stay healthy. Thank you, Sola, for launching another year of the Sola Mahoney podcast on Coffee Time. Alang, they would say in Wolof. From me, in a dark studio, to you, thanks for listening to Coffee Time today. We've come to the end of the program, finally, and I'll see you again tomorrow. 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 And I'll see you again tomorrow.